Hi everyone, welcome back to Stones Hill Homestead. If you're new here, I'm Kim, and today we are making whoopie pies. And I've had some questions about the history of whoopie pies, as well as some interesting facts that I did find. So I wanted to share those with you. Also, the reason I'm cooking today is for Christmas. And if you haven't checked out all the channels that are with Vlogmas 2023, please go ahead and check all those out. I am not doing Vlogmas. It's the first year I've ever even heard of it. So I am encouraging you all to visit these channels. They're doing baked goods, recipes. It's just a lot of great information and great sharing going on that. So it's hashtag Vlogmas, Vlogmas. So I encourage you to try those out. So whoopie pies, a lot of history with whoopie pies, and I'm just going to read what I've wrote down because I didn't want to miss anything. And it was, who is the originator of whoopie pies? So it was widely accepted that the whoopie pie dates back to the Labadie's Bakery in Lewiston, Maine. So it is part of Maine history, which began making these treats in 1925, and that continued to be made today. And so they have pretty much adopted that the whoopie pie originated with them. But in our area in northern Indiana and Pennsylvania and Ohio, whoopie pies are part of the Mennonite Amish heritage as well. So they also originate and accept that they started whoopie pies. And a whoopie pie history is described as a New England phenomenon and a Pennsylvania Amish tradition. Whoopie pie historians have decided that it has its origins in the heart of Pennsylvania Dutch County, and you would think Lancaster County. So that is where the Amish get this from. And in 2011, Maine state legislature designated the whoopie pie as Maine's official state treat. This confection traditionally consists of two chocolate cake-like rounds surrounding a white cream filling. You will notice my cream filling is from the Amish heritage versus the Maine. There's a little bit of difference there. So you will see that today in my recipe. And the popular treat is reported again to be have baked in Maine since 1925. And the culture of whoopie pies is, why were they called whoopie pies? And according to the legend, Amish husbands and children were given whoopie pies made from leftover cake mix in their lunches, shouting whoopee in delight when they were opened. The Pennsylvania Amish claim to have whoopie pie recipes passed down through families from generation to generation. And so is whoopie pie a Boston thing. Boston, Massachusetts also takes part in this. Maine, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Pennsylvania, and Virginia all claim to be the birthplace of whoopie pie. So even though it's a lot of information, a lot of history, we still love them. And again, I was raised with this treat in our area of the Mennonite and Amish communities. My husband absolutely loves them, and so we are going to make them for him for Christmas. What he really loves, though, is placing the whoopie pies after they're made. We wrap them in saran wrap, we put them in the freezer, and he loves them as freezer ice cream sandwiches. That's kind of what they are like, the texture is like, and we absolutely love them. You can also change the icing up in the middle to other flavors. We don't do that. We don't like the other flavors. We like the chocolate and the white cream frosting. You can color the frosting if you want to make them Christmas-like, either with red and green or leave them as white. And that's what we're going to do today, I believe, is just keep them white. So we're going to get started. Come along, join as we make these treats. So to get started, my recipe is old, but I'm going to give you a screenshot here. And this is what begins the recipe of whoopie pies. So we are going to start off with 1.5 cups of lard. I am using Crisco. You can use whatever you want. This is just what we use, and I don't ever alter the recipe for dietary needs. This is what needs to be, and this is what we use. So I'll let you each decide what you want to do, and that is perfectly fine with me. Now you can measure your Crisco out however you want. These are sticks that I got, and they need to be used up. So I'm just going to use them up. And today this recipe takes a total of 3 cups of Crisco, 1.5 for the actual cookie, and the other 1.5 cups for the icing. And from this point forward, I believe I'm just going to voice over everything because there's a lot of background noise with the mixer, and I think you could probably hear me better. So the next thing we need to do, we've got the Crisco in the bowl. We need to add 3 cups of sugar. Here I will be adding cane sugar from Azure Standard. Of course, my link is always in the description. And we're going to start mixing this and creaming this together. And it does take a little bit. There is the first cup I've added. And we'll be adding 2 more cups here. And we're going to let this cream together nicely. We don't want to have any clumps or lumps. We want to get this so it's all smooth. And we've added our 3 cups here. And we're just going to let that go. We'll scrape down the sides a bit as well and continue to mix until we see that nice smooth texture in here. We just love Whoopie Pies. I can't say that enough. Here I am scraping down the side of the bowl. And there are so many variations, as I said in the beginning of the video. I've saw pumpkin spice Whoopie Pies. I've saw chocolate peanut butter Whoopie Pies. I've just saw so many different flavors that you can do, but we've never really found one that we like. A Whoopie Pie is just so traditional for us, of chocolate cookie with that nice fluffy white center. Here I am adding those 3 yolks of to the batter. We did save out the egg whites. Nothing will go to waste. For those of you that are concerned with that, those 3 whites will be used to make the filling. And we're beginning our next process of adding 1.5 cups of sour milk. If you don't have soured milk, you can quickly make your soured milk by adding 1 tablespoon of vinegar or lemon juice to your milk and leave it set for a few minutes, and it will sour up nicely for you. Or if you just have sour milk in the fridge and you've realized that you've saved it for this, that's also an option. But this is the easiest way to do it. That way you don't have soured milk sitting in your fridge. We're going to slowly add that to that until it's all mixed in here and it's well blended. This recipe I don't make very often. One, these things are very addicting and we just absolutely love them. I don't eat them though. I make them. I do taste the cookie and the filling to make sure that they are okay, but all of them are usually given away for Christmas gifts and for my husband in the freezer for his cold treat. And these are really nice in the summertime as well. I just don't like making them in the summer as I don't want to heat up my kitchen. The next thing I'm going to be adding is 3 teaspoons of vanilla. This vanilla is what I made from last year when I gave Christmas gifts out, and it's very simple to make. The problem is you just have to have patience and time and leaving it alone until it has properly mixed those vanilla beans with the vodka. I use alcohol to make my vanilla. There are recipes out there that you can use other things to make your vanilla. And I get all my vanilla beans from Vanilla Bean Kings. That is the best price I have ever found. They always have a great sale on them. I can get either grade A or grade B. Grade B works perfect for this because all you're going to do is stick them in a bottle and let them soak. You don't really need to worry about what they look like. And the grade B are just high quality as well as far as I'm concerned. But you would take your vodka, I do pint jars, and you add 8 to 10 vanilla beans that are sliced lengthwise, and then you drop those whole beans into that bottle, and then you cap it and you leave it set for 8 to 10 months. The 10-month is usually the best. I always try to leave it that way. Here I am adding the first of 6 cups of flour. That is a 2-cup measuring cup that I just absolutely love. It's my favorite measuring cup for bulk jobs. And you can also get that at Azure Standard. I've never saw it anywhere else, but I'm sure you could pick it up somewhere else. But we need to add 6 cups of flour to that with 3 teaspoons of salt and 1.5 cups of cocoa. And here I am adding the second batch, which is now 4 cups total in there. And we're going to continue to mix it. I'm getting my other 2 cups ready so that it is ready to go when it's time to add it. And you just want to scrape those measuring cups level full. And we're going to make it, and you'll see that the dust does pop up here a little bit, and I turn it too high to begin with. I'm just trying to keep it low so I can decrease the powder dust all over my kitchen as well as my KitchenAid, but it just doesn't happen. It is what it is when it comes to making cookies. My kitchen is always completely destroyed when I'm done baking. I am a messy baker, and anyone that knows me can tell you that. I don't mind being a messy baker. And so here I am just flicking that on and off, trying to keep that dust down, but I'm not successful at this, as you can see. You can see the dust coming up. I'm going to increase my speed here a little bit, and we'll get to adding those other couple items. And here I am getting ready to add my 3 teaspoons of salt. You could have mixed it with the flour. I just didn't. It doesn't matter one way or another. And there's those 3 teaspoons. The next item then is what I've already talked about, is 1.5 cups of cocoa. You can use Hershey's cocoa, the unsweetened kind in the can. You can buy it from many other places in bulk. Feel free to do that. I just keep my Hershey's can in the background. You see, I keep it and I just continually refill that when it gets low because I know exactly how much I can buy to fit in that can. So I don't ever have to buy a new tin of it or a container of it. And this container that I have here is probably been in 20 years. I've just continued to refill it. Has a great chocolate recipe for chocolate cake on the back. It's absolutely the best homemade from scratch cake that I've ever had. So I do continue to use that cake recipe as well. Here I am adding that cocoa, and you can see it's getting quite dusty here. And we're gonna scrape down the edges as well. But in the background there, I am mixing my 3 teaspoons of baking soda in 1.5 cups of very hot water. And I want to mix that together, and I'm going to start adding that to the mixer. And it's going to thin that dough down to a very liquidy type batter. So don't be afraid once you're making this that if you think the batter is too thin, that's not the case. It does thicken back up with the cocoa being added. And I do also end up putting this batter in the fridge for a little while. It doesn't need to be in there long, but it works better when you're dipping it out with that cookie scoop that I use for my cookies. It does work better if it's a little bit chilled, but you don't need to. You can take them out and put them on cookie sheets as well, in parchment paper or whatever you want to, however you want to do it. You're welcome to do that as well to help you out. But it is fine if you don't need to wait. I'm adding my cocoa, continually adding some of that hot water with that baking soda until it is all mixed down. Now, if you have a bigger mixer, you could probably double this, but I would not advise it for the standard KitchenAid mixer like mine. One batch makes enough cookies to have plenty of Whoopie Pies. It makes about 3 dozen of Whoopie Pies depending on the size. I made them quite big for us, and I make them very small, which you will see. I make them smaller for gifts because they are very filling and very sweet. And you want 2 or 3 bites for a cookie, and since this is like a sandwich cookie, it is a lot of cookies. So you don't want to make them huge for giveaways. But if you prefer to do that, you can give them 2 or 3, and they can cut them up and share them as they will. And here I am finishing up with that water and just continually adding it slowly. And you can see that batter is really getting thin here. And it also starts to make a little bit of a sloppy mess here for a second or so. And so I have to slow down on how I add it. And I'll continue to scrape down the bowl. I just want to make sure everything here is completely mixed in. Now, I also want to shout out to Vlogmas, #Vlogmas. There are a lot of videos out there. Here I am scraping that down. I just want to make sure that there's nothing that didn't get mixed in here. But a shout out for that Vlogmas, #Vlogmas. Go check out all those videos and all those channels. I'm not part of it per se. I'm just giving them a shout out because these collaborations really help our channels grow. And as many of you know, as I've been trying to get 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I am very close. It has not happened yet. And the best way you can help me is by watching, commenting, and sharing on your own social media channels. And that is what really helps. And we appreciate each and every one of you. I have had so many new subscribers in the past couple months, and I just want to welcome you and thank you for joining us, and for those subscribers that have continued to follow us. We really appreciate each and every one of you. So click on that thumbs up for us and click on that bell so you can see when each one of my videos go live. Here I am getting ready to put them in the pan. This is a muffin top pan, and these will make my big rounds. These are the ones that I'm going to make ice cream sandwiches for us. I have the Pampered Chef cookie scoop that I'm using here. It's the large one because when asked what size Whoopie Pies would you like for the freezer, the medium or the small just never is enough. So for my husband, I always make the large sandwich cookie, and I fill that scoop up, and I just place a scoop in each pan. Of the rounds, each center, there's 6 on here, so this is 3 Whoopie Pies for him. It will make 3 Whoopie Pies, so the top, the bottom, and then I will fill it with the center. And these are going to be baked now at 400 degrees for 8 minutes. You'll want to watch them and test them in the center to make sure that they are fully done in the center, because you don't want them to fall when you pull them out. You want to make sure they're baked through but not overbaked. And now we're going to start with the filling. You're going to take those 3 egg whites, and we need to beat them stiff. So we're going to get that going. It takes a little bit of time for that to happen, so just be patient. It will be where the peaks are stiff, when you take that out, and I will show you how that works. And we are mixing those egg whites, and I wanted you to see the whole process. They are very thin, and they slowly become more milky white as we continue to beat. And it happens very quickly. You also don't want to overbeat those egg whites because they can fall as well. So it's a happy medium, as you all know. I'm not a baker, I'm not a cook, I'm not a chef, I'm nothing. I'm just a homemaker, and I just learn by failures, I suppose. Many of us do. We try, and if something doesn't succeed, you try again. And here I am just waiting on that to thicken up. And it should be getting pretty white. It's starting to peak up now. I can see that it's thickening, and they are becoming stiff. And we want these so when I pull that beater out, it just makes a nice peak. And you will see me do that here. I am taking this up to the next level to really get those whipped up nice. And it really doesn't take that long, 2 or 3 minutes maybe. Sometimes less, depending on the speed of your mixer, I suppose. But we just want that nice and stiff so that we can get ready to add the next ingredients. And it seems like a lot at the beginning, but this recipe is for one batch of the Whoopie Pie cake rounds. It just depends on how much you fill those cake rounds to make it so they are nice and full and that you have filling with every bite. And we're done, and I'm lifting that up so you can see. See how that egg white, it is nice and thick in that whisk, and I'm trying to just make sure that it doesn't come out, and it doesn't. So I'm putting that whisk back on so we know now we are ready for the next ingredient. We're going to start with 3 tablespoons of vanilla. And again, I'm using my homemade vanilla. However, you are welcome to use white or clear vanilla, and that would be the preference for this recipe to keep your filling nice and white. Now, if you're going to color your filling with either green or red or whatever colors you want, orange and chocolate cake is always nice for the fall time. But I don't have clear vanilla, so I'm just using my homemade vanilla here, and it is 3 tablespoons. We're going to add that. Then we need to add 6 tablespoons of milk. And we're just gonna get that all added in there. And I had a little bit too much, so it does get a little bit thin. But you'll see what happens next. It just thickens it right up. And again, this is the traditional filling for the Mennonite background. And a lot of people are going to cringe when they see what's coming up next, but just be aware, this is just what Whoopie Pies are. You're not looking for a healthy treat. If you are looking for a healthy treat, this is not your recipe to do. We are going to next add 3 cups of powdered sugar. We're going to let these other things blend a little bit. We'll start with 3 cups of powdered sugar, and then we're going to cream that. Then we will add another 3 cups of powdered sugar for a total of 6 cups of powdered sugar and 1.5 cups of the rest of that Crisco. And I have finished adding that first batch of powdered sugar, and now I'm going to add the 1.5 cups of Crisco, and we're going to cream that together and let that get nice and smooth. And I'm showing you here the Crisco is already pre-measured out. It's the way to go. You can use any flavor of buttered Crisco or plain Crisco. I have the plain, so that's what I'm making for this. The butter Crisco has a more yellow tinge, but it does give another layer of flavor, a buttery flavor, if you will, and feel free to do that, but I prefer the white for the filling because, or the original for the filling, because I want it to stay white. I don't want to have any yellow tinge color to it. And we're just going to mix that up here and add the last of the powdered sugar, which is 3 additional cups once this is all blended in. And here's the first 2 cups of that powdered sugar. And I will add the additional 3rd cup here. There it is. And you may find that you need a little bit more powdered sugar to make it stiff. That's perfectly fine. Add what you need to make it so it's thick and not runny. When you spread that filling onto that cookie, you don't want it running off. You want it thick like an icing. And I would say like a buttercream or the old-fashioned buttercream icing that you see on cakes. You don't want it quite that thick, but you want it thick enough that it doesn't run off. We're going to scrape off this bowl. We're going to get everything down in here just to make sure we don't over add powdered sugar because there's stuff on the side here. We just want to scrape that bowl off and remix that again. I want you to see this here, and as I'm mixing and blending, I lift it up. I just want to see how it looks and how it tastes, and you can see it's running off of that whisk. It tastes great, but it's still too thin, so I need to add more powdered sugar. And I don't like how thin it is, so I'm checking it a couple more times just to make sure, and I do end up adding probably another half a cup of powdered sugar here. We're going to blend that in, and then we are ready to fill those cookie rounds. And here we are, finishing up our Whoopie Pies, and we're going to get them frosted. So what I do here is I just take some of the filling, smear it around in there, and I take the second cookie and I put it in there. Now I don't think that's enough on that one, but that'll be fine for us. I continue to fill them up. So I'm going to get these all iced up and filled, and then I'm going to put them in saran wrap and wrap them up for the freezer. And this is how they look. I placed them on a cookie sheet here, and they are going in the freezer, and these are the 12 large ones. Thanks again for joining, everyone, and as always, be blessed and laugh as much as you breathe. We ended up with 18 smalls and 12 large.